Hello my friends and welcome back to PhilosoGaming. What makes a narrative gaming masterpiece? Part 5. Nier. Last time we nitpicked on the Dark Souls series for a very specific point of Ludonarrative Dissonance, and discovered how the gaps between story and gameplay aren't always something to be avoided. Rather, Dark Souls was able to purposefully add just the right amount of this dissonance to create a more palpable gaming experience and increase the accessibility of an obviously intimidating game. Today we are going to switch gears entirely to the black sheep of our list of games, Nier. Fair warning, I'm not being careful of spoilers at all, so if there is an abundance of them, you're welcome. Of all the games on this list, Nier is the least widely popular title. Nier is a game best described as weird and fascinating, a masterpiece in spite of all its flaws. To give some background for the narrative of Nier, it is a sequel to the fifth ending of the original Drakengard game. Originally meant as a joke, it eventually sparked this entire world. It was designed to be an RPG that would be fun and accessible to everyone, while still delivering on the deep, fantastical, and parable-like quality that serious role-playing games strive for, as well as keeping in touch with the Drakengard's aesthetic of making sure that the story was dark and didn't deliver the kind of happy endings that are so common in Japanese RPGs. As a result, Nier was a very experimental game for Square Enix. The developer, Kaguya, and the director, Yoko Taro. To go through a few of the unique choices in this game, the game has two main playable characters between its Japan-only release Nier Replicant and its North America-Europe release Nier Gestalt, one being a teenager turned young man for Japan, and one being a 30-something turned middle-aged man for the West. Nier also combined the genres of traditional JRPG character progression and quest structures, character action gameplay for combat, and shoot-'em-up or bullet hell games for magic and boss battles. It also has control-based puzzle sections, rail shooting, and a part that is purely just a wall of text that is followed by testing the player's memory and answering riddles. After spending a significant amount of time racking my brain, I was beginning to think that I put this game on the list mistakenly. I thought surely a game as weird as Nier would have plenty of ludonarrative dissonance to talk about. However, the more I thought about it, the only thing I could really come to were awkwardly animated double jumps, board drifting, and ridiculous distance on dodge rolls. But even when the game was annoying, monotonous and boring, or too easy to be engaging, all the good and bad points of gameplay painted a thematically accurate reflection of the game's narrative, the role of thought, memory, and language in subtly influencing personal and cultural perspectives, the role of law in the growth of society and its interaction with power, and the nature of obtaining knowledge as power, what it means to control that power, and what it means to be controlled by that power. All of Nier's mechanics, no matter how janky and disjointed, represent aspects of its narrative as parable. I will probably be talking about this more in depth in the future, but of all the games I have played, none have achieved Nier's level of ludonarrative resonance. And I think that is exactly the problem that Nier created for itself. Nier is thick. Too thick. Nier is easy to pick up and play, but difficult to understand. It requires a massive investment of time to see what it accomplishes, because the vagueness and the gradual unveiling of what is going on through multiple different New Game Plus modes meant that the average player would experience and enjoy the base game, but never even know there was a surface to look below. Speaking from personal experience, having picked up Nier Replicant for the first time off of a Japanese bargain bin during my time studying in Japan, I didn't even know that Nier had multiple endings. It was years after my first amazing experience with the game that I learned there was more to play after the first New Game Plus. Seeing this, Nier was destined to be a game of cult popularity that grew over time. As more people picked up the game, had a fascinating experience, but not much of a language for describing what made this weird RPG engaging, it had to travel through the grassroots process of word of mouth and game sharing. It did actually have a good deal of critical success in Japan the year it was released, but didn't translate to furthering the intellectual property. Japan's gaming market has been growing to need more and more of the Western market. Thus, any Nier sequel didn't really seem workable until the Western awareness of the game was large enough. All of this is just to say that Nier was a cult darling of Square Enix games. But a nearly perfect ludonarrative experience forced Nier into an extremely long gestation period, and ended up crippling its commercial success. Now the game finally has reached the point needed for a climax, and the lessons Square has learned with making action RPGs, added to Platinum Games' long history with character action games, makes me confident that Nier Automata is going to be a huge success among fans of these genres, and not just fans of Nier. So now we are faced with a game that seems to be the pure antithesis of our original hypothesis. Nier overcomes practically all ludonarrative dissonance to create a masterpiece, but its ludonarrative resonance ultimately hurt the game and its recognition as such. From here, I'm going to have to make an even bigger turn from these four games, where ludonarrative mechanics were front and center, to a game that doesn't really seem to care. So join me next time when I talk about ludonarrative dissonance in The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Thank you for watching, and stay true.